Welcome to Flames Central Game Day, brought to you by Divine Fog Realty. Love, family, and team. Glad you're with us on the mountain today. Reginald Walker Jr., Pat Kelly. I'm Rhett McGibbon. Homecoming here on the mountain. And before we get into this game, because it's going to be a good one, Pat, any good homecoming stories? Were you like the clutch guy on homecoming day?
Not that I can think of. I mean, if we're really thinking, 3 touchdowns in my career on homecoming, who's counting them?
Right.
I mean, certainly not me.
Yeah, that's great. Reggie, anything special?
Not in my college career. Yeah. We just PBUs on homecoming. That's it.
Oh, good stuff. All right, Delaware taking on the Flames today. It's going to be a really pivotal game for LU, and I kind of want to bring up this topic, which is crazy to think about. You know, we're used to huge games against Virginia Tech here on the mountain, maybe BYU, and you go on the road to Arkansas. But in this season, for what it has been, is taking on Delaware and beating Delaware. Is this the biggest game of the year? Because if you lose, you're sitting at 3-5. All hopes of a Conference USA championship are pretty much out the window, and you could see the rest of the season tail spinning. You win, you're 4-4, and you still have hope at getting to that conference championship game.
Look, everybody's mentality is, right, you got to find a way to win the rest of the games on your schedule. 8-4 sounds better than 7-5. Like, it sounds so different. It's one game, but it sounds very, very different. So I think that's the first piece of it, and I think the next piece of it is just a mindset, right? If all of a sudden you feel like conference championship is not a realistic possibility, then you start wondering what guys are playing for. Do they start maybe playing for transfer portal money, kind of lose it? All these different things come into play. So I think this is a very pivotal game for this program. And also, I think you win a game like this and you start to get the feel-good Jamie Chadwell, like we've gotten this thing back in the direction it's supposed to be in.
Well, it's going to be a tough task. Let's take a look at what Delaware has done so far this season. New kids on the block. I could say new hens in the coop, whatever you want to do. But you look at it here against Delaware State. Thank you for that. You know, obviously you get the win. You expect to get a win. A tough game against Colorado. Caden Salter, he got benched in that game, I believe. I'm just throwing that out there.
Poor guy.
UConn, you win in overtime, and then things start to get going your way in a good fashion. You beat FIU, Western Kentucky. That's a close one of the better teams in Conference USA this year. You lose to Jacksonville State, and against Middle Tennessee, you pull out the victory. This is a team that has shown themselves well in their first year of FBS action.
Yeah, I mean, they really have. You look at that scoreboard there, and I mean, there's 4 games within 7 points. I mean, this is a team that competes. It's a team that knows how to win. At the FCS level, they had 6 national championships, the most recent being in 2003. But, I mean, this is a coach that he knows what he's got in his team. They're able to compete late in some of these games.
Yeah, and this was last week's game against Middle Tennessee. And again, you're kind of in that area in the season, Reggie, where you're kind of like, it could go either way, and they come out and they play a really solid game against the Blue Raiders.
Listen, I don't care what anybody says. All records aside, Middle Tennessee schematically, defensively, Derek Mason, their head coach, former head coach at Vanderbilt's been all over the SEC. He knows how to dial it up defensively. If you can put up 30 points against the defense that's designed by Derek Mason, you're doing a really nice job with your offense. I thought this offensive line was actually pretty good in that football game as well. Those are the types of things you want to see from your football team.
Minicucci had 4 touchdowns on the game. Duplessis had 2 touchdowns. Wilson had 2 as well. They had 384 yards of total offense. It was a really good day for them.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I was most impressed because second drive of the game, they fumbled. Middle Tennessee State was up 14-7, and then they just rattled off a bunch of points. They kept their composure.
Last week, Liberty, this is a game they did everything in their power to lose, and yet still somehow came away with a win. I say last week, it was 18 days ago. I'm getting mixed up here. We can talk about just the time off in a few moments. Liberty was kind of a quiet crowd, but then Juju Gray woke everybody up with a 96-yard return.
Thank God for an absolutely awful special teams unit from New Mexico State, but also capitalizing on those opportunities from Liberty's standpoint.
Well, you talk about New Mexico State's issues in special teams. Ethan Vasco says, watch this. He felt like, it seemed like he wanted to give this football game away, kept throwing it to the other team, but then he overcame down the stretch of that football game. The way he performed in the end was magical. You got to love love that for him to be able to bounce back in a football game of that magnitude.
Dickens just north of 50 yards in that game, but did have 2 touchdowns. Here's a look at the standings. We mentioned a couple weeks ago that Delaware has the opportunity to play spoiler this year in CUSA. That is very much up for grabs today as they take on the Flames. As we said, another loss for LU, and you're in some trouble. Let's kind of break this down. For Liberty, you have Delaware left today, Missouri State next week, then you take on FIU on the road, LA Tech, and then you finally finish up at home against Kennesaw State. So the road to the conference championship game is still very open for this team. Another game of note, Kennesaw State and Jacksonville State playing each other on November 15th. Those are the 2 remaining undefeated teams in CUSA.
Well, you got to give Jacksonville State a ton of credit. Rich Rodriguez leaves, goes back to West Virginia. They're right back at the top of the standings. And we talked about it 18 days ago. What Jerry Mack is doing at Kennesaw State is absolutely unbelievable. That's a place, and I've been to games there and called games there when they were at the FCS level, and they were top 10 in the country, and they couldn't fill that place up. That is no longer the case. They are obviously not in the top 10 in the country at the FBS level, but they're starting to fill that place up. They're winning at a high level. They're playing a style of game that people enjoy, and defensively, they're absolutely unbelievable.
Well, you're playing in a great location, too, to recruit.
I mean, you really are. You're down in the South there, down in the dirty South. I've just been really impressed with what they've done in their second year. I mean, it's a sore subject for the Liberty Flame fans because they kind of went down and laid a clunker last year, lost that game. But I'm impressed with where they are given the short time or period of time that they've been in this league.
Well, let's go back to that game against the New Mexico State Aggies and just specifically that last drive by LU, because the offense was not clicking all night long, and then all of a sudden something happened once you get under 4 minutes in the fourth quarter. Ethan Vasco turned into a different quarterback.
Yeah, sometimes it just takes the lights getting a little bit brighter, and that's when Ethan Vasco played his absolute best because, he really struggled throughout the game, but went 7 for 7, I believe, on that final drive, completing every ball. I was really impressed with how they executed.
Well, not only the execution, but what I thought was his anticipation. The ball came out quick. It came out immediate on a consistent basis. He was seeing it really well and reacting properly. They tried to change some coverages on him. We'll talk about that a little bit later. They tried to do some pre-snap, post-snap, changing the picture, and he handled it really well on that last drive in particular.
Why did they go soft coverage, Reggie? My DB here on the set. Why did they go soft coverage for that entire drive against LU?
Well, I think there was still a little bit of fear of Juju hurting you, right? They got hurt by a big play from Juju earlier in the game. So there's that concern, and then you know that they might look to get greedy, and the other part of it is Ethan Vasco had thrown it to the other team a couple of times, and they were saying, you know what, if we make him stay patient, maybe he throws us one, and that's the way we can win the football game.
There you see Dante Lee Jr. He had 5 receptions on that final drive. He had 6 on the entire night. He had that little fire icon over him, if you know what I'm talking about. Pat, you saw some nice elements in that final drive. Can Liberty implement that kind of play more consistently throughout the game?
I think they can. And we'll talk a little bit about keys to the game later. I think what you really saw is when they started to go up-tempo and kind of just take the thinking process out for Ethan Vasco, he started to play a lot better. So I think I'd love to see some up-tempo, no-huddle, get him up to the line. We don't have to sit here and think and think and think. But I definitely think they can implement some of what they did 17 days ago and kind of capitalize on offense.
All right, Ethan Vasco's had some slow starts, I would say, in his Liberty career. We're going to take a look at that right now. Early on in that game against New Mexico State, had a nice play here, Pat, that you're going to break down, and it led to an interception.
Yeah, so the first thing I'll say is he started pretty rough. This is the first drive of the game where, we saw some ugly to start. They finished strong. But this first highlight here, they're going to motion a receiver across the formation. We'll go ahead and run this, go ahead and let the tape run here. And so we see Reese Smith motioning across the formation here. As he's about to get set, we'll go ahead and pause. So Liberty's had some success this year utilizing backs out of the backfield. So what we're going to take a look at is, well, it looks like Telestrator not working at the moment, but on this particular play, if you pay attention to the running back in the backfield, Juju Gray, he's going to run what's called a flare route. So he's going to run essentially a screen, and then we're going to see Reese Smith, who's in the slot on the hash marks, he's going to run a hitch route. And so that is designed to put the defender that's on about the 26-yard line in conflict. And so we'll go ahead and we can let this play run, and we're going to see Ethan Vasco kind of just sails this pass. It should come out quick to number 6, Reese Smith, in the slot. Unfortunately, it doesn't. He sails that throw. Not his best. He started out a little bit shaky, but we did see him get a little bit better as the game went on. And we'll take a look at some of those plays from the final drive in just a moment.
Yeah, the main thing on that play for Ethan Vasco in particular, his feet, when he got ready to release that football, his feet are wide. They're not in a standard base for him to follow through with the football properly in terms of his mechanics and throwing motion. That's what allowed that ball to sail and force the interception. So he's got to be clean. He's got to stay with his mechanics and trust throughout this football game.
All right, Pat, take us on to the next play. I think the telestrator's not going to be our friend right now, but still we can break it down.
Yeah, I'll do my best to talk the crowd through this. So this is called a curl flat concept. And if you're looking at your screen here, if you look at the receiver at the very top of your screen near the 50-yard line, he's going to run what's called a curl route that he's going to run about 10 to 12 yards and start coming back to the ball. And then we're going to have the flat route where we've got a defender running toward the sideline. Reggie, this to me looks like man-to-man coverage. Can you tell me a little bit about what you see?
Yeah, what they're trying to show Ethan Vasco with the two safeties on the 40-yard line, they're trying to show him a two-deep shell coverage. But what he doesn't know and what he's got to figure out is it man coverage underneath with the corner at the top, the corner at the bottom? Obviously, you've got a linebacker or a nickel guy kind of walking out underneath those the three wide receivers at the top of the screen as well. So they're trying to confuse him as to whether this is a two-deep coverage with two safeties and a full zone underneath, or two high safeties and man coverage underneath, which is what we call two-man.
Yeah, so when we let this play run, you're going to, again, look at the top of the screen, the receiver running that curl route. He gets to the very top. We'll go ahead and pause it right there. Look at how much space he's created with his route. He's pushed that defender way off of him. Even though there's three defenders around this receiver, he's got plenty of space to make this catch. Vasco hits his back foot, ball comes out on time. Really good pitch and catch.
And Vasco processed a lot of information there, because if you look at it in the back end, there's a free safety. So they turned it into a cover one type of situation. So it's everything's man coverage underneath, and then you got one safety over the top playing deep. So he recognized the change in the coverage and handled it properly.
All right, our next play, and then one thing I keep hearing you say, Pat, is that Liberty really trying their best to put a defender, I guess in better terms, into confusion, into a place where you have to make a decision on the fly, and hopefully they pick the wrong one and your quarterback reads the right play, and that continues on.
Yeah, it really does, and it's similar to what this offense does when they run the option offense. You want to put defenders in conflict, make them start thinking and make the wrong choice, so they're doing elements of that in the passing game as well. So we'll take a look at this final highlight here, continuing the 2-minute drive. This is the play right after that curl flat. Ethan Vasco, he's in a rhythm. What I want you to take a look at, again, is the top of the screen. You're going to have a slant route by that top receiver. Basically, he's going to take 3 steps, break off of his outside leg, and he's going to try and cross the face of the defender. Reggie, this, again, looks like man-to-man coverage to me. What do you see? Yeah,
right now, all the defenders are facing the quarterback. Everything is about, what do we see? It looks like a two-deep zone from a picture standpoint, but it'll absolutely change once the ball is snapped.
Yeah, and if I'm Ethan Vasco and if I'm the receiver top of the screen here, Dante Lee, I am really fired up because that defender is playing so far off of me, and I know that my route is only going to take me 3 or 4 steps, so I'm licking my chops. This is an easy, quick-fire completion if you put the ball on your receiver. We'll go ahead and let it run. We'll see the receiver run his slant. He takes his steps, 1, 2, 3. Crosses the face of the defender, ball's put immediately on him. Good throw, good catch, another first down. It was a great 2-minute drill that they ran.
Yeah, I thought the anticipation by Ethan Vasco throughout that drive was the biggest key to the whole thing. He did an excellent job processing information on the drop back and then releasing the football on time.
Yeah, a lot of talk about that final drive. Flames would never have been in that position if it wasn't for our field pass player today, brought to us by Ortho Virginia, Max Morgan. Max, thanks for taking the time to join us and speak with us.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Well, I've had so many people come up this week and say, what kind of funky spin did Max Morgan put on the ball the last time against New Mexico State? Were you rubbing that ball down with baby oil beforehand? What was going right that day for you?
Man, that was nothing short from the grace of God. That was so cool. I mean, really, I think just the wind starting to pick up, it kind of puts a slower spin on the ball. It actually makes it a lot harder to catch.
Max, let me ask you this, Reginald Walker here. Listen, everybody knows kickers and punters, y'all are different breeds. So I gotta know, Max, like as a punter, like as you're going out there, like what are some of the things going through your head? Like where does your mind go when you're trying to drop a punt down somewhere inside the 15, inside the 10-yard line?
Yeah, I mean, It's an interesting question because freshman year I think it was being really hyped up, really juiced. And now it's kind of backed off, and it's like almost like how calm can I be? Because if I overstep too much, if I overswing, it drops off and it kind of messes up everything. So I think it's just like being calm out there and just really playing how you practice every single day.
Max, this is Pat Kelly here. I think my question for you, the people want to know at home, would you rather hit an absolute bomb, just a nuke, 70 yards, or would you rather hit a nice little pooch punt? It's a 25, 30, 40-yard punt, but you bury it inside the 5-yard line. Yeah,
no, I'm definitely going to chase the big ball. I mean, pooches are cool and stuff because, it helps out Coach Krantz. And Coach Krantz is the special teams coordinator. And, I like to help him out and stuff, but hitting an absolute bomb is kind of sick sometimes.
To go with the movie quote, chicks dig the long ball. So, I appreciate it, Max. That's some good stuff.
Yeah.
Max, let me ask you one more, and this is always interesting. If that ball's in the air and it's down inside the 10 and you got a couple of guys down there, do you want them to let it bounce and get it on the 1, or are you telling them, hey, it's okay to catch it at the 6 and make sure we get that field position?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, probably just going down on the 6 because it's so tricky too, because that's 20 yards of field position, and getting it down inside the 10 is, I mean, really like my biggest thing. But the 1 would be pretty cool too, so it's probably about half.
Great stuff. Well, Max, thanks again for taking the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
All right, that was Max Morgan. An absolute incredible day by him when the Flames took on New Mexico State. We continue on with our Ortho Virginia Field Pass. KT Say, safety on this team, an interception last game against Middle Tennessee. He'll be troublesome for LU.
Yeah, this guy's the green dot on defense. He's got the headset in there. He's kind of their commander, their field general, if you will. 13 tackles against UConn. And then he decided to go out and have 3.5 tackles for loss against Jacksonville State. Kind of just all over the field. Dude's a gamer.
757 kid, Maury High School, Norfolk, Virginia. You know how they do, but he's a ball hawk, and that's what I love about him. Wherever the football is, he's going to go get it. The key with him, though, you better make sure it's not in the air too long, because he goes up and gets it like he's a receiver. He wants it more than everybody else.
Yeah, he will be fun to watch today. Ryan Carty also hoping that he has a great day, and Coach Carty standing by now with Matt Warner.
Well, Coach, Liberty's offense with some of the option stuff they run can give you some unique looks. What's the key for your defense slowing that down here today?
Yeah, I think just getting 11 hats to the ball, making sure we're doing our job, not trying to do too much. I think a lot of times in big environments on the road, sometimes we try to kind of get out of our comfort zone. I think, what we do well is swarm to the ball and try to play on their side of the line of scrimmage. Hopefully we can continue to do that.
Season of first for you guys, moving to FBS, moving to Conference USA. A win in an environment like this against a program like this, what would that mean to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, it would obviously be a huge one for us. What an opportunity we have to kind of represent who we are as a program, who we are as a state and a community in an environment that's going to be outstanding, and one of the places that we really want to come here and put a good show on today because of what we know Liberty has done in the past and what they are right now.
Good luck, Coach. Appreciate the time.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Would be a huge win for the Blue Hens. Also would be a big win for Nick Minicucci, who, guys, I got to ask this question. Is he right now, the way he's played, just the dual threat ability, is he the best QB this year in Conference USA?
I mean, you're testing my memory with a 7-week-old at home, so I'm maybe not the best person to try and answer. I think so, though. I mean, you look at this guy's numbers, he's absolutely incredible. Ball comes out on time. He's got 4 different receivers with almost 20 catches. I love watching his game.
I love his ability to spread it to different people and use all the weapons. A couple of things that are going to have to come together for him. Joe Silver, the running backs, got to give them more. And this offensive line, they've allowed 13 sacks already this season. They've got to do a better job protecting a quarterback that, by all accounts and by all the film you watch, has the ability to get himself out of trouble. And then his decision-making with the football. He keeps his eyes down the field as he starts moving. That's why he's 13 touchdowns and just 3 interceptions. Does a great job looking for opportunities and then making the right throw.
Yeah, the 3 interceptions for a QB, I feel like in Conference USA is a quality number. Yeah. And then you look at just his stat line, like you go a game and he throws 3 in the air, and then the next game he may only have 1 through the air, but then he has 3 on the ground. Like, he keeps opposing defenses guessing.
I mean, he truly is the definition of a dual threat quarterback. He's got 2 games this year with 3 rushing touchdowns. He's got 4 games, I think, this year with 3 or more touchdowns through the air. So, I mean, he does everything. He is the heartbeat of this team. But, Reggie, I totally agree with you. That running game's got to get going, and it can't just be him running the ball.
And I think the other thing for Minicucci is he doesn't care how it looks. And I think that's the most important thing that sometimes we get caught up in college football, really in the sport as a whole, even at the professional level. We get caught up in how it looks. It doesn't matter how it looks. It matters how effective it is. And Minicucci's been nothing but effective all season long.
On the other side for LU, Ethan Vasco has had times this year where, like in the first half of the last game, you're thinking, oh boy, this is not going to be a great day. He's thrown 2 picks, and then he goes on that final drive, and he's just throwing darts.
Reggie, I know you'll have some grades in just a bit, but I mean, this dude is scrappy. He steps up when it's needed. Yeah, he starts out a little bit rough, but he's got that short-term memory, which is great. I've been really impressed with just how he's hung in there. He's battled some injuries this year, and I think he's really starting to get into a rhythm, kind of catching his groove here.
Yeah, I agree. And what I like about Vasco, right, it's not always pretty in the first half. He's at his best in the fourth quarter. Think about this, almost 65% completions in the fourth quarter. So he does much better job managing the game and processing and handling things properly in the fourth quarter of games.
All right, Professor Reggie, break us down. You graded him so far on the year. Kind of walk us through these letter grades.
Look, here's the thing. Passing, we give him a C because he can make some throws, and we've seen it. Like the last drive against New Mexico State, he looked really good. We give him a C there. Here's part of the problem. Just 56% completions throughout the season. Got to be more accurate than that. Have to be more efficient in the passing game. And the 5 interceptions, it's not a huge number, but it's not a great number when you compare it to the amount of touchdowns, just 6. So he's got to find a way to change that balance a little bit. In terms of running the football, I give him a B-. Here's why. He can't do anything about the athleticism that he has or doesn't have. He's not a speed merchant. He's not a guy that's running off a bunch of 30-yard runs. But he does a nice job getting tough yardage, right? And he makes some decent decisions in terms of running the football. Right. And that's where his toughness comes in. That's why I give him a B+ there. He's been tough. He's been physical. Where I worry is decision making. I gave him a C+ there. Sometimes not great, right, in terms of the RPO game. He makes some, decisions that you don't love. He doesn't always read it right. And then in the passing game, he turns it over a little bit, and the percentage isn't great. But then the year-to-date, right, when we give him his overall grade, that's where I like where he's going with the C+. He's projecting the right way, and he always shows up, like I mentioned, in the fourth quarter to play his best football. I think that's the biggest key for him.
All right, Professor, you're a hard marker.
Yeah.
Like you think where do you think he's going to end up in that B- territory? Is that what you see his ceiling at this year?
Well, if he rattles off, what they hope he can rattle off, all of a sudden he might end up in that A- territory.
All right.
If he can rattle off a bunch of wins, because here's the other thing. I don't care what the numbers look like. They're 3-4 right now. If all of a sudden they're 8-4, just give them a B+. I'm good with that.
Okay, I like this extra credit here coming from Professor Reggie.
The bottom of the line, the bottom line is winning games.
That's
true.
And
if you find a way to do that, a lot of things go out the window.
Well, the passing game huge for both sides, but especially for Delaware. They're one of the top teams in CUSA this year in passing the football. With more on them, we go down to Annette Corey.
Yeah, Rhett, there's so much to look at through the air today as Delaware, which has Conference USA's top stat as far as passing yards go, takes on the top passing defense in the conference in Liberty. And Nick Minicucci and the rest of this Blue Hens offense, they do such a great job passing the ball, averaging 299.4 passing yards per game. Minicucci's accumulated the most passing yards in the conference. And like you said, Brett, he doesn't turn over the ball a lot, but Liberty's passing defense, they are going to pose some challenges. Blue Hens head coach Ryan Carty stated this week that this is a sound team they're facing on the back end. He said Liberty does a good job of disguising pre-snap that can make life really hard for a quarterback. He added, it's even more dangerous playing a team that hasn't seen the field since October 14th. They need to be prepared for nuance in the secondary. On Liberty's side, teams have a mere 54.2% completion rate when facing the Flames defense. Cornerback Amarian Williams said that the 18 days that they've had off have helped them in so many ways. He and the rest of this secondary have gotten to dive into film more, study more route concepts than they usually would be able to. So he said, we are fired up to face this Delaware offense. And when you look at the breakdown, I mean, Delaware averaging almost 300 passing yards per game and Liberty giving up just about half of that. Looks like both groups have met their match. Well, hey, we're going to send it over now to Matt Warner, who's standing by with Flames head coach Jamie Chadwell.
Well, Coach, last time we talked, you were coming off short rest. You had 18 days to prepare for this one. What's the key to getting into an offensive rhythm early despite such a long layoff?
Yeah, that's going to be a challenge. I think routine, when you're in a routine, you feel good about it. So we've got to do a really good job of coming out fast. We challenge our guys on that, is that, hey, we can't ease into this game. We got to come out. So we're going to try to get our quarterback involved early, let him maybe run a little bit just to get him in the game quick so he feels confident, and try to do something, fast-paced to get us going a little bit.
Delaware's the top passing offense in the conference. No Joe Carter in the middle of that defense for you for the first time here today. How do you slow them down?
That's going to be a challenge. Their quarterback's really good, and we got to do a good job of mixing up whether we're blitzing, maybe dropping 8, but most importantly, we just got to throw their receivers off of rhythm. If we can press them and maybe they can't throw the timing routes, if he has to hold the ball, then you feel better about that. We can't replace a Joe Carter. Joe's been phenomenal for us. We're going to have to use a linebacker by committee there a little bit, and so hopefully those guys will play at a high level, and we're confident in them. They've had a couple. If there is a benefit of 18 days, at least you had 18 days for those guys to get as many reps as possible. I feel good about their play.
Good luck today, Coach.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I hear the 18 days off for LU. Reggie, I'm going to throw this. Obviously, the Liberty defense has been clicking at a higher rate than the Liberty offense. How big is having 2 weeks plus off for LU to kind of get on the right track offensively?
I think it's huge. I think it gives your offensive staff a chance to self-scout, understand what we're doing well, understand maybe what we're not so good at, kind of shrink the playbook, tweak some things, take some things out, put some things in. And then also what it allows you to do is not only get healthy, but you can look at things like an offensive line and say, okay, what schemes are these guys handling well? What things do we need to do better at in terms of, do we need to max protect a little bit more in the passing game? Do we need to get certain guys the ball more in the running game? Those types of things. So I think the biggest and most important thing is self-scouting when you have a bye week.
Yeah, no, I think that's hugely important. For me, I was chronically injured throughout my career, so I always needed the bye week to try and heal up those hamstrings, those bumps and bruises. So it's good, kind of a culmination. You can do that self-scout. You can understand, hey, here's where we need to improve. But I'm excited to see this offense, how they come out, because they really did end in a hot fashion. So I'm hoping they can keep that momentum moving forward.
All right, let's look at our Nissan matchup spotlight as we compare both of these defenses. And when you look at the numbers, both these teams pretty close overall. We'll take a first look at the tape when it comes to Delaware.
They fly around. They absolutely fly around defensively. They get after you in the front seven. I think what they do pretty well, and they've got to make sure they get better at it, is run fits. They've got to get downhill and play on your side of the football. They are aggressive, but sometimes their eye discipline is not great. But I like this defense. I like the aggressive nature, and I like the physicality.
I think where Liberty's going to have to capitalize on this defense is in the red zone, because they're not very good. They're 102nd in the country, giving up points 90% of the time that a team makes it there. So Liberty has struggled this year in the red zone. If they can get into the red zone and take advantage of this defense, that's going to go a long way today.
You look at it, Flames have allowed 18 touchdowns on the year. Delaware has allowed 23. Liberty less yardage overall. What is the key? Is it obviously, you always look at the turnover battle. Is that what it's going to come down to in a game like this?
I think a game like this, you have to look at negative plays. And when I say negative plays, I'm talking about sacks. This is a Delaware defense that averages 2 sacks a game. Liberty has allowed 17 sacks so far this season. They've got to make sure that they keep Ethan Vasco clean in the passing game. Coach Chadwell mentioned it earlier. They want to maybe do some more up-tempo and get some quarterback run game going. That's going to be important to slow down this pass rush.
As we take a look at Liberty, the D-line has struggled. I guess we're spoiled when you look at Flames fans. You're used to just getting a lot of sacks, as what Reggie said. And Liberty has yet to do that this season. What do they need to do or have to do schematically to get more pressure on the quarterback?
I think that, first of all, the secondary's got to continue to be locked down. I think they've got to confuse them a little bit. So whether that's disguising some coverages, whether that's bringing a blitz from an exotic location, I think they do have to confuse the quarterback, make him hold on to the ball, make him kind of double clutch. I think that'll be a big thing, and that will allow the rush to hopefully get home.
I think they better win first down on defense. Liberty's got to win first down. They've got to dominate first down. This is a team in Liberty that really struggles on third downs, almost 42% conversion rate to their opponents. Delaware converts at about 49% on the offensive side of things. So you better win first down, create some negativity, get them behind the chains, and that'll allow you a chance to win on third downs.
Yeah, that'd be very key to watch. Well, hey, make sure you stay with us. Lots more to come here on Flame Central Game Day. Impact players, keys to the game. We'll be right back after the break.
become a visionary from day one. All champions are visionaries. God wants to burn a vision into your heart. You're not called to fill up space. You're not just an occupant. You're not just a spectator. You're supposed to be a participant in God's primary goal. And so that's our mission. God has called you to achieve, to win. You have no right to be ordinary. God has called you to be extraordinary.
Number 97.
Well, it's a beautiful homecoming game day here in Lynchburg, Virginia. This week, tight end Austin Henderson said that this Flames team is the most connected one that he's been a part of in his time in Lynchburg. And guys, building a team culture like that, it isn't something that just happens. It takes a lot of moving parts behind the scenes. One of the key figures in building those relationships has been strength coach Chad Scott. Let's learn a little bit more about Chad Scott's role in the program and the journey that brought him to Lynchburg, Virginia.
Cornerback, number 26.
All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Fellas, how we doing today? Good. Hey, before we get going, all right, we've talked about connection and we've talked about consistency. Hey, dab somebody up, connect with somebody. Let's get our minds right. Let's get ready to go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Y'all figure it out. Attack the hill. Attack the hill. Attack the hill.
The weights are the easy part. The running, the lifting, all that's the easy part.
Wake people up! Let's go!
We want to build these guys from the inside out. We're going to talk into their heart. We're going to grow. And as we grow inside, we're obviously going to develop outside. And it's that connection with each other and connection through shared experiences, connection through shared struggle.
Come on! Come on!
We're going to put the guys through hard things. We're going to make guys strain. We're going to put guys through adversity.
We're sprinting to the top. I'm going to blow the whistle. Y'all ready to roll? Ready! Come on. Come on. Come on. Go, 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 go. Hey, tap somebody up, man. Y'all did a heck of a job today. Find somebody. Connect with them. Hug them. Do something.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's connection, right? That starts with Coach Chadwell and comes all the way down to the basement with us.
Let's go. Get your Rex. Get your Rex. Get your Rex. Come on now. Good lift. Good lift. Good lift. Pause. Drive. Good.
A football weight room was not the kind of office Chad Scott expected to work in. The former walk-on D lineman graduated from Eastern Kentucky University in 2002 with a political science degree.
My first strength coach, Mike Kent, was definitely instrumental in my development mentally and physically, and really kind of shaped the path for me to be a strength coach. I wanted to go to law school. I thought, that was kind of the path that I was going to go. He actually reached out a few times and said, hey, you really need to check out this thing called strength and conditioning. I think you'd be a really good strength coach one day.
He would listen to his mentor, begin working in weight rooms around the Southeast, and in 2012, he was hired as the head strength and conditioning coach for Charleston Southern University, where he would begin working with first-time D1 head coach Jamie Chadwell.
It was long days, long hours, but I loved every second of it. Trying to pour into our guys with everything that I had an opportunity to really just show who I am to a brand new head coach. I jumped in with 2 feet in. I said, day one, I'm going to give Coach Chadwell and I'm going to give this program everything that I got.
As Jamie Chadwell climbed the coaching ranks, he would bring that trusted voice in the weight room right along with him.
You're lifting weights and conditioning more than you're doing any games, more than you're doing practicing. And to have somebody that the players enjoy going in there to get better every single day, that's a gift, and he has that gift. He's been able to help our teams from back in 2013 on to always be ready to go, ready to play at a high level, and he's a huge reason part of that. And when you have a guy that connects with young people like that, you don't want to lose him.
And on game day, it's hard to find a bigger encourager for the Flames.
Good stretch. Good stretch. Loosen it up. Loosen it up.
First and goal from the JMU 2 to the south end zone.
Come on, O. Come on, Vasco.
Vasco shotgun keeps it himself following Dickens towards the goal line. They push ahead.
Touchdown. Touchdown. Let's go. Great day job, DJ.
There's a piece that a lot of people miss as far as with being a strength coach. They miss the coach piece. And in order to be a coach, that's pouring into guys and meeting them where they're at, seeing them who they are, and helping them develop as people.
Head feel good though? Body feel good? Yeah, body good. Great.
They got to see your heart. They got to see who you are. They got to see what you're about. And that's got to be every single day, regardless of circumstances outside of this room. You got to be the same person. You never know what guys are going through. You never know, the things that are going in their heads and some of the battles that they're fighting daily. And so I want them to have a support system outside of their own family or outside of the coaching staff, whatever it is. And ultimately, as strength coaches, I think what makes it nice and kind of maybe evens it a little bit is that we don't control playing time. And so we're here to serve. We're here to, help the guys find a better version of themselves.
Dickens remains in as the running back. Another third down situation.
What fires me up and what gets me excited is when it's a super tight game and you got guys that truly believe we're going to win the game, and they grow together and they're linked up together, and you're in a good place. And because as a strength coach, you want the guys to thrive in adversity. You want guys to thrive when things are getting harder and things are getting tougher. Instead of cowering down and backing away, you want them taking a step closer to the line.
Peavy back to throw. Near side, diving attempt, intercepted, Amarian Williams.
Ultimately, 20 years from now, they're not going to remember the score of whatever game we played. They're going to remember the experience. They're going to remember how they felt. And they're going to remember, man, that was a good season. That was a great day. Whatever their best is, I want them to be able to experience it.
Well, so great to hear that. Thank you so much to our very own Donald Scott for producing that piece. Chad Scott's not too far behind me getting his guys ready for game day. Well, football season, it never goes exactly according to plan. And when injuries arise, it's time for the next man up mentality. With more on how the Flames defense has been utilizing this as of late, let's send it across the way to Matt Warner.
Yeah, thanks, Annie. I think we can all agree that the strength of this Liberty team so far this season has been the defense. They've been the 45th best scoring defense in the country, but moving forward starting today, they're going to have to do it without one of their leaders on the field. Jamie Chadwell telling us this past week that Joe Carter, the linebacker, suffered a season-ending injury in Liberty's win over New Mexico State. What do you lose with Carter on the sidelines? How about your leading tackler last season and your leading tackler this season? 141 tackles in the last 19 games. He's also played almost 100 more defensive snaps than any other Flame on the roster this year. But more than just that, he's also your green dot guy, the guy the defensive staff communicates with in his helmet throughout the game, and the guy that they trust to help get this defense aligned. So without Joe Carter, you lose out production. You also lose out on basically a coach on the field. So as far as who will fill in for Joe in this ball game, Jamie Chadwell told us Aiden Vaughn, Deuce Spurlock, a couple of guys that could help fill that role. Another boost this Flames defense could be getting back today, though, is Brylan Green. They expect him to go even if in a limited role. But without their leader, without their linebacker and leading tackler in Joe Carter, it's going to be something to watch early in this game to see how this Liberty defense fares against a high-powered Delaware attack. Guys?
Man, a little bit of late-breaking news there. Possibly getting Brylan Green back would be massive. I mean, you think about this Delaware passing offense. They've been great all year long. If you could get your field general back out there, having just lost Joe Carter for the rest of the year, that would be huge.
Yeah, that'd be monstrous for this team.
I think this is a perfect scenario in which, look, with a quarterback like Minicucci, the way he can move around, you better have good, clean communication back there. A guy like Brylan Green potentially being back cleans a lot of that up, even without a guy like Carter in there.
Well, I think also puts a lot of pressure, and we'll move now to our impact players presented by Freedom Heating and Air. Darrell Farrar, linebacker, comes in. He had a couple good games in the middle of the season against JMU and also Bowling Green, and you have to think he's going to pick up a lot of the slack left by Joe Carter.
Yeah, I think he has to, right? Like, they're going to look at him to do that. Look, he does a nice job understanding what's happening in front of him. What you'd like to see from him is a little bit more downhill in terms of creating some big plays for this defense. But I like Farrar. I think he's a guy that's going to have to be really good in a game like today, especially if Delaware tries to get the running game going, particularly with the quarterback.
Yeah, one thing we didn't say is he's your second leading tackler. So you lose Joe Carter, you plug this guy in, so he is going to elevate his game a little bit, but he's going to have to.
On the other side, offensive side of the ball, Juju Gray, this was so great you need to see it multiple times. This is, again, it's the kickoff return. At first you thought, uh-oh, he's in trouble. but then he starts tap dancing right about here, and he is going to pay dirt.
Look at the wheels. That's all you need to see with that young guy right there. But the big thing for me is give him opportunities, touches. He's one of those guys, like, I think about a guy like him, and the size is different, but I think about Aurelius Ben when he was at Illinois. You give that guy about 15 touches between kicks, punts, and running the football or catching the football in a game, you're going to get a touchdown out of it.
Here's Kyrie Duplessis, and not the biggest guy out there, 5'11", but I would say he's the top wide receiver for this Blue Hens team.
No doubt about that. I mean, he's their X receiver. He's the guy that this quarterback trusts the most. You see on the screen there, 34 catches. This guy can do everything for you. I think he could be a kind of a matchup nightmare for some of the secondary for Liberty, who's been good this year. But it's good when, as a quarterback, you've got a guy that you know, hey, it's 3rd and 5. I can get him the ball.
Yeah, he does a great job in terms of body control. His catch radius is really good for his size. He is the type of guy that an offense can lean into on a consistent basis and keep making plays.
And then defensively for them, Gavin Moole leads the team with 63 total tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss. He's going to be a big part of them trying to shut down the run game.
I mean, the pride of Bethel Park, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
There you go.
Shout out Pittsburgh. Yeah, this dude's their leading tackler. He will come up and just rip your face off.
That's what you like to see, right?
Absolutely. And what I love about him, his ability to diagnose. He sees it really, really quickly, and that's been a really big key for this defense. Look at him here. He waited and hesitated because he knew that he had to let some things sift through the wash, and then he shows up to make the play. And I like the fact that he shows up always in a bad mood.
I want to throw you a question, just kind of like off topic, really. Well, it's on topic, but it's not on your rundown. So I just want to get right off the bat. Delaware helmets, yay or nay?
I mean, okay, listen, here's my problem with them.
Story time.
They've got the yellow and the blue,
yeah,
right, most of the time.
Yep.
I went to Penn State. They look like Michigan.
Yeah.
I don't like them.
No. Okay.
It's that simple. I don't like them because they look like Michigan.
I think they look good.
Yeah, I'm a yay fan.
Yeah. It sounds like it's two in favor, one not.
Right.
So Reggie, out of here.
Well, if the colors were different, right, I'd probably be okay with it.
You like
they
their black and gray that they wore?
The black and gray is pretty good. I'll roll with those.
Those are pretty sweet.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, every sack is a sack to give back this season. Food Lion Feeds will donate 1,000 meals to a neighbor in need for each Liberty sack this season. Flames currently sitting with 9 sacks on the year for 53 yards lost.
Welcome to Champion Connect, Liberty University's exclusive network for alumni, residential students, and online students. Whether you're on campus or across the globe, this is your space to connect, give back, and grow professionally. Stay in touch with the Liberty community, see what friends are up to, and reconnect with old classmates. Meet new people who share your values and celebrate your favorite Liberty moments. Looking for mentorship? Champion Connect makes it easy to find mentors in your field of study. Schedule video calls or send messages on the app. And when the time is right, you too can become a mentor for others. Want to grow professionally? Expand your network, explore job opportunities, and take real steps toward your career goals, all within the trusted Liberty community. Champion Connect keeps you connected anytime and anywhere. To get started, visit championconnect.liberty.edu. Use Safari on iPhone or any browser on Android and add it right to your home screen. Get connected today.
It's kind of amazing, like, walking into the sea of students that are Christ-centered. They're, trying to strive to, be who God has created them to be, and to be able to offer anything is just awesome. The world that we live in, there's so many things that characterize greatness: what you do, how much you have, how many people follow you, and that's what determines greatness. But ultimately, true greatness is found in living a life that's submitted to Christ and being who He's called you to be. So if you're doing that, if you're striving for that in any way, shape, or form, then you are great and you're a champion for Christ.
Get ready for a great week of soccer in Lynchburg. From November 2nd through the 7th, Liberty hosts the 2025 Conference USA Women's Soccer Championship. The league's top teams face off in a week of high-stake matches, all fighting for the conference crown and a shot at the NCAA tournament.
Shot and scores! Shoot, scores!
High stakes, big moments, and it all comes down to this. Catch the action in Lynchburg or follow along at conferenceusa.com.
Homecoming on Liberty Mountain. Here's a couple shots of the parade. I would say that's the only downfall to doing this job. It's the most fun job, but you never get to see the parade. Here you go, Pat.
I'm from New Orleans, so Mardi Gras always does good parades. So this one was probably close to what they do down in New Orleans.
Oh, I'm sure.
I think.
Exactly. All right, now time for our keys to the game, where these two put it on the line and kind of their own spin on what they see as being really successful points. Reggie, we'll start with you with Delaware.
It's got to start number one for me. Kyrie is for me. Okay. Kyrie Duplessis. Yes. Pat, you talked about being the pride of Bethel Park, PA. Kyrie Duplessis, a graduate of Woodbridge Senior High School in Woodbridge, Virginia. Same place I went. Got to get that young man the football. 14 yards a catch. He's got a 68-yard punt return for a touchdown as well this season. He's a big key in this game. Listen to this, guys. He's got 6 catches of 25-plus yards. Well, Liberty's given up 9 on the season, so they better keep him under control. That's key number one.
Could you cover him? If you went back in the day, both from the same high school, would you be able to shut him down?
Back in the day, I'm locking him down. Right now, he's getting whatever he wants. But back in the day, it's all lockdown, baby. The second key for me is fit and finish. And what I mean by that for Delaware, they've got to do a good job in their run fits, and then they've got to finish those tackles. They give up about 4.6, 4.7 yards a carry. They've got to be better than that against this Liberty team because Vasco will create some problems for you. And then last but not least, no fair catches. Give yourself opportunities in the return game. This is a Delaware team that averages almost 18 yards per return on punts and 26 yards per return on kickoffs. Give yourself opportunities in the return game. No fair catches. And oh, by the way, that includes Kyrie Duplessis. Kyrie is for me.
All right, as we look now at our keys for Liberty, if you weren't sure what time of the year it was, you can always tell by Pat's keys because they're typically themed throughout the year. Pat, go ahead.
Well, first of all, guys, I've got a 2.5-year-old at home. Quinn, if you're watching, you don't understand what I'm saying, but whatever. So these are for her. Of course,
shout out to Quinn, though, because Quinn's awesome.
I've got to work some dad jokes in there somehow. Yes. So number one is trick or treat Minakushi with caution. What I would say is Liberty needs to disguise coverages. They need to bring blitzes from exotic locations. They've got to make him hold on to the ball. They've also got to contain him in the run game. So you've got to be cautious when you do bring pressure. So that's key number one for Liberty today.
What is an exotic location on the football field?
You come from the corner. You come from the safety. Okay. You can come from the press box, I guess.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All
right. So key number two for Liberty today, you guys remember the candies Red Hots?
Yeah, yeah.
So again, Halloween, got to work these in. So they've got to start hot, and then they've got to go fast break offense. You asked earlier today, do we think we'll see some up-tempo? I think they could really benefit from it. This Liberty team is averaging 2.8 points in the first quarter this year. That's not going to get it done. So they need to, number one, have a hot start, and number two, kind of pick up the tempo when they're on offense. And then lastly, I apologize, man. This one's tough, guys.
Oh, that is rough.
You got to Halloween the turnover battle. So Delaware under their head coach is 21-0 when they win the turnover battle. So that's why it is very important. Liberty's got to steal some possessions, keep Delaware's offense off the field, and capitalize on it.
Well, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Make sure you stay with us. That's all now for the pregame show. Thank you so much for watching Flame Central Game Day. It's been a blast having you here once again. Liberty and Delaware, 3:30 p.m. on the CBS Sports Network. Stick around after the final whistle and join us on Liberty Flame social media for the full postgame show, including the first thoughts from Jamie Chadwell. We'll see you then, everybody.